So UFC 290 just happened, and all I've got to say is, what was that? It was such a good pay-per-view. There were so many unexpected fights. There was also some fights that I predicted to go, and they were pretty similar of how I expected them to go. What a pay-per-view. We're going to go in with the early prelims. Now, we're not going to go over every individual fight, but look at the finishes on this fight. Look at the finishes on this card. 17-second finish, 20-second finish, 38-second finish, another 38-second finish. There's been so many early finishes on this card. It's been insane. Yeah, a lot of early finishes. A lot of finishes in general. Look. Decision, KO, KO, submission, submission, KO, 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 KO. There's been so many... There's so many finishes. So that's what's been great with this card. There's not really been much... How do I say? There's not really been much... decisions. There's only been very few decisions. We're going to go in there with the early prelims, and we're not going to, you know, all these are great fights, but we're going to go in there with Robbie Lawler's fight. What a retirement. What a retirement. Goes in there, everyone screaming his name, you know, enjoys the moment, goes in the octagon, KO's Nickal Price, out cold in 38 seconds. Just like that. That was so easy. Some people said it was rigged. I can kind of see why they're saying that, because it did look like an awkward KO, and the commentators didn't really look fazed by the knockout. I thought they'd have a bigger reaction, but I don't think it was rigged. But that was such a good retirement. I mean, the end of such a good... And he had that thing where Joe Rogan showed him that video. It was so good, man. It was so good. And couldn't have asked for a better retirement, because usually when fighters retire, they'll have a final fight, and then they'll end up losing that fight. So... I mean, you gotta give it to Robbie Lawler, man. That was such a good fight. He is done now. His career's over, but it was such a good fight. He was pacing him up. If he did that against Nick Diaz, I don't know how he didn't finish Nick Diaz. But yeah, what a retirement from Robbie Lawler. What a knockout, and what a way to end the prelims off. Then we go into the main card, and we had Bo Nickal versus Val Woodburn. I predicted Bo Nickal to win by, I think it was first round submission or TKO. And it was a first round... Was it first round TKO, right? It was a first round KO. So, yeah, he looked... Bo Nickal is scary. I think Bo Nickal will be the future middleweight champion of the world. He's got some of the best wrestling in the UFC. Some people might argue that he is the single best wrestler in the UFC right now. He's got knockout power. I believe he's got more KOs on his record than submissions. Val Woodburn, I think everyone expected him to lose this fight. You know, I think if you were to bet like £1 on him, you'd get £12 back. Bo Nickal went out there, rocked him, and knocked him out immediately. Same time as Robbie Lawler, 38 seconds. That was as clean as it can be. Bo Nickal is a scary opponent, man. He's got wrestling and he's got knockout power. Val Woodburn couldn't do anything. I don't even know if he landed a single strike there. He might have landed one. But Bo Nickal, man, that was so dominant. That was such a good knockout. Great way to open up the main card. Like I said, I think most people were expecting Bo Nickal to do this anyway. But the way that he did it, man, just easy. Rocked him, knocked him out. I don't think it was an early stoppage, because Val Woodburn didn't look like he knew where he was when he was done. Bo Nickal's a scary opponent. Maybe I'm trying to rush him in there too quickly. I think he should fight a ranked opponent. He's shown that he's dominant enough against everyone getting finishes. I think he needs a ranked opponent now. Yeah, I think he... Joaquin Buckley said he deserves Hamzat. I don't think he deserves Hamzat. I mean, Hamzat's literally ranked in like the top 5 or 10, or is going to be top 5 or 10 in middleweight. Bo Nickal isn't even ranked, so I don't want to push him too much. But I think it's time we give Bo Nickal, even though he's only had 5 MMA fights, I think it's time we give him... a ranked opponent. He looks so dominant. In terms of Val Woodburn, I think they just... I know this sounds cruel. I mean, I think they cut him from the UFC or give him to the Dana White Contender Series. If they were looking to add him to the roster anyway, then fair enough, keep him. But if they were just looking for a panic opponent to fight Nickal, then I said we just put him in the Contender Series. But that was dominant by Bo Nickal, man. What a knockout. I can't wait to see what he does next. Then we move on to a very interesting fight with Jalin Turner versus Dan Hooker. I got this prediction wrong. I thought Jalin Turner was going to win by decision. Dan Hooker won by decision. Dan Hooker looked good in that fight. He looked good. First round, I give it to Jalin Turner. He was landing the better shots. He was landing the more significant strikes. Yeah, he was landing the more significant strikes. Dan Hooker couldn't really do much in the first round. It was pretty close. I give it a 10-9 Jalin Turner. Second round was dominant by Dan Hooker. It started off kind of in favour of Jalin Turner. He was smacking Dan Hooker a bit, but then he got really tired out, and I thought Dan Hooker was going to TKO him in that second round. I really did. Dan Hooker was teeing off at him, about to TKO him in that second round. Then towards the end of the round, he got him in a rear naked choke, and Jalin Turner got saved by the bell. If there was another 5-10 seconds on that bell, he would have got submitted in the second round, so he got saved by the bell. In the last round, Dan Hooker was beating him up. I thought he was about to finish him. Jumped on guard, basically dominated him for the entirety of the third round. Dan Hooker won. I don't think it should have been a split decision. I think it should have been unanimous decision for Dan Hooker. Apparently a judge gave Jalin Turner the third round, but yeah, Jalin Turner was dominant. I mean, not Jalin Turner. Dan Hooker was dominant in that fight. It was a great fight as well, very back and forth. Both fights probably going to be out for a while, so I don't think we're going to see Dan Hooker on the Sydney card in September, because he took a lot of damage. So did Jalin Turner, but Dan Hooker's into it, man. He's back into the mix, coming off a winning streak of Claudio Puelles and Jalin Turner. Maybe I'm rushing Dan Hooker in it too quickly, but bro, what's to say we don't get Dan Hooker versus Gamrot? Gamrot beat Jalin Turner. Dan Hooker beat Jalin Turner. Hooker's been in there with some top opponents, coming off a 2-fight winning streak. I think we put him in there with Gamrot. Maybe that's too much for Hooker. Maybe he needs another tune-up fight. Maybe what's his name, Marciano. But Dan Hooker looked very good in that fight. He's building it back together. I mean, what Chandler and Arnold Allen and Poirier did to him, I thought they were going to break him, but he seems like he's still in it. Jalin Turner is still around. I do think that weight cut was a bit brutal and kind of contributed to his cardio. So I think we take Jalin Turner to welterweight now. He's had his time at lightweight. Clearly can't really make weight. Gassed out really quickly. Put on a bit of mass and go up to welterweight, and we'll see how we can do there. Then we have Robert Whittaker versus Dricus du Plessis. What happened here? What happened? I thought Robert Whittaker was going to finish him by second round TKO. It was actually Dricus du Plessis that TKO'd Robert Whittaker in the second round, so I got it the opposite way around. Whittaker didn't... I mean, Dricus du Plessis looked way better than I thought. Dricus du Plessis in that first round started off in that first round, and Robert Whittaker was catching him, nothing too significant. Dricus was landing a bit of his own, and then towards the end of the first round, Dricus took him down, tripped him, and dominated him on the floor. And I'd say that first round was a 10 down to Dricus du Plessis. Second round comes, Whittaker starts having success again like he did in the first round, and then out of nowhere, Dricus hits him with a jab, drops Whittaker, and then goes for the finish, and Whittaker gets TKO'd against the cage. This might have been one of the biggest upsets on the card. No, it definitely is the biggest upset on the card. Nobody thought Dricus was going to win this fight, especially not by TKO either. Dricus du Plessis versus Adesanya next. Wow, Dricus shocked me. I did not expect that from Dricus du Plessis. I thought he was getting rushed in too quickly to be like, go from Brunson and Darren Till to Robert Whittaker. Man. But yeah, Dricus du Plessis looked so good. I actually might pick him to beat Adesanya, He's a very stylistically hard. He's powerful. He's a pressure fighter. And he's got great wrestling. He's probably going to be the best wrestler that Adesanya has ever fought. Honestly. I mean, to say that Marvin Vettori did alright in the wrestling, and he's nowhere near the caliber that Dricus du Plessis is. Man, in terms of Robert Whittaker, I think he should either fight Sean Strickland or the winner of Ikram versus Costa. And I think he's still 2-3 fights away from a title shot. He's still got it. I think he just needs to change his game plan up. He's such a good fighter. Just didn't go his way tonight. Well, not tonight, last night, but just didn't go his way. And Dricus du Plessis looked very dominant. Honestly, we need to do du Plessis. I don't know if it's going to be in September. We'll have to see. But what a performance by Dricus du Plessis! He absolutely shocked me. That was the biggest shock on the card. I cannot believe that happened. So far, this card has been crazy. Then we have Alexandre Pantoja versus Brandon Moreno. I picked Pantoja to win by submission, but he won by decision. Same thing. Again, I don't think it should have been a split decision. I think it should have been unanimous. It could have been a split decision. It was pretty close. I don't remember how every round went, but I just remember it being a war. Moreno kind of how I said how it would start. I said that Pantoja would start very aggressive, and he did. Um, yeah, both fighters doing pretty well on the feet, cracking each other. I do feel like Pantoja's shots were doing worse than Moreno, as in like it was affecting Moreno more than it was affecting Pantoja. In terms of the grappling, Pantoja, in my opinion, definitely won that. He had more submission attempts, more takedowns, more control time, which is what won him the fight essentially. Yeah, I knew Pantoja was gonna. Well, I expected him to win by the way he did. This was such a good fight, by the way. This was probably fight of the year contender so far. Back and forth, just blood everywhere. Both faces wrecked. Both rushed to the hospital. It was a massacre from both ends. It was such a good fight, but obviously Pantoja picked up the belt. People say Moreno should fight Pantoja again like a fourth time, a quadrilogy. I don't think so. I think we do Amir Albazi, who just come off a win versus Kai France. I think he should fight Pantoja, and Brandon Royval should fight Moreno. That's what I think. I don't want to see this immediately, but because I don't think Moreno's been defending the belt. It's not like he's been a massive dominant champion. He's been losing it, then winning it, then losing it, then winning it. But that was such a good fight. Great co-main event. What a fight. Both fighters absolutely amazing at flyweight. Pantoja picked up the win. Then the main event of the evening, Volkanovski versus Yair Rodriguez. Volkanovski is so good, man. He's so good. First round of the fight, Volkanovski took him down and dominated him. Took him down, 7 takedowns. Took him down, dominated him, elbowed him, cut Yair Rodriguez in the first round. Looked really dominant. Second round, same thing. Took him down, dominated him on the floor. Even had success on the feet. Yair looked good with his kicks, but it just wasn't enough for Volk. Volk looked too good. Third round came, and Yair Rodriguez, for the first part of the third round, he actually looked alright. He was landing. I was going to give that a 10-9 Yair. He was landing the better shots than Volk was. Volk really wasn't finding himself on the feet. Yair started looking like he was getting better, and then immediately Volk hits him, cracks him, drops him, goes for the TKO. Yair has no response, and Volk finishes him. Volk might actually be, if Volk beats Islam and beats Ilia Topuria, I think we put him above Khabib in the GOAT list. He might even be arguably above Anderson Silva. Arguably, he might be above Silva. He's so good, man. He's so good. He's cleared out featherweight. He's literally cleared out featherweight. Nobody at featherweight can touch him. People like Yair Rodriguez, this is going to be his Leon Edwards, Kamaru Usman moment. I was like, nah, bro. Volkanovski's too good. I knew he was going to win. I predicted him to win by a 4th round TKO. He did it even quicker than that. He did it in the 3rd. Volk is so good, man. He's so good. But what a card this was. What a card this was. It was full of finishes, full of surprising fights, some insane knockouts, some great submissions. This was such a good card. UFC 290, one of the best cards, man. What a card. Cannot complain. Such a good card. I'd give this card an 8 or 9 out of 10. This exceeded my expectations, man. It was so good. But yeah, that was my overview on the card. I'm going to continue doing rant videos. Probably not as frequently because I kind of like doing these other videos, not just ranting. But what a card that was. What a card. Next videos I'm going to be doing will obviously be rants, but I'm also going to be talking about UFC London. I don't really have much interest in Holly Holm versus Silva. Yeah, I'll see you all at UFC London, where we'll be going over the card and doing predictions for that. But yeah, what a fight, what a night. UFC tonight was insane.